Hey everybody, it is the wee early morning hours of April the 8th, 2024. I couldn't sleep. I have some things on my mind. Um, my plan for today was to corral Jason, get him here in the studio, and do a one last chat uh, production or show or episode or installment, whatever you want to call it. But I felt compelled to do something else, and I was laying awake in bed, and I figured, well, maybe I'll just go down in the studio and record because I got stuff on my mind, and this has been a very good outlet for me. Not only disgruntled, I have another podcast over on Rumble, the Richard Leonard Show, that I've done for, I don't know, 106 weeks or something like that. Uh, excuse me. And that's proven to be a great outlet for me as well. Um, but, it's April 8th, and today is my birthday. But that's not that's not what I want to talk about. Um, my family this year has been pretty blessed, I think, in a few different ways. This last weekend, uh, my wife and I and the rest of our family were we're fortunate enough to find out the gender of our grandchild, our first grandchild. It was pretty exciting. I I wasn't prepared to be a grandfather at the now ripe old age of 42 years old. But I'll accept it. I'll take it. I'm proud. Uh, it wasn't this year, but late last year, my little sister gave birth to my little niece. And so, I mean, we got two little lives that are new to the family. And, it's pretty cool, actually. It's kind of a different perspective you have when you're older. And I'm sure somebody out there who's older than me from my past is going to watch this at some point and go, "See, I told you that things change as you get older." I'm sure it'll be one of my parents or maybe even my wife or a coach or something like that. And I'm here to tell you, you're right. Things just get put into perspective a little bit differently uh, as you age, and these important things come up. But it also got me to think about the world that we live in today. And what it might be like for these little ones as they grow from toddlers to preteens to teenagers to adults, and what kind of struggles they'll have, what kind of great times they'll have, of course, also. And I think about last week I was talking a little bit about, uh, well, not a little bit about, I talked a lot about what made me decide to join the military. And I was talking about my teenage years and things, a little bit about the things that my buddies and I would do. I didn't want to say too much because um, because their parents are of course still around, and you just don't let all your tricks out. You don't tell everybody everything all the time. In fact, my one buddy Ryan, when I told him about the show, his first response to me was, "Well, I really hope it's nothing my mom's going to be pissed about." And the truth is that if she knew the truth, she might be a little perturbed. But we're all well into our 40s. But still, those are things you probably don't want your parents to know about. It also got me thinking about my service once again, and the service of so many other men and women that have come before me, and that will come after me as well. And I found myself asking the question, why? Why do it? And I know that the popular answer is, well, if we don't do it, somebody's got to do it. If we don't do it, who's going to? And yes, I agree with that, of course. But really dig deep and ask why. The further along we get into our history, and the further along we get into this polarization of our country, the more I think it makes Americans question why we did or do a lot of things. And now there's these, and not that there's not all the time, but there's these two new, in my life, these two new little precious lives. And we know how horrible the world can be. We know how horrible kids can be to each other. We know how horrible adults can be to each other. We know how horrible we can be to each other internationally and domestically, and neighbor on neighbor, and I mean just all over the place, everywhere you look. But now we have these two little precious lives, and many others. And we have to start thinking about how we're going to protect them from all these horrible things that go on day after day after day. And of course, there's many people out there that you talk to that will all say, well, it's not going to be like that for long. It's going to all change. It's all going to go back to the way it was. There's a lot of people out there that say things like, don't worry, Donald Trump's coming back. He'll fix everything. What if he doesn't? What if he doesn't come back? And what if he does come back and doesn't fix everything? Are we all really willing to put all of our eggs in Donald Trump's basket? No, I'm not saying I don't support the guy and that I'm a Trump hater, but I'm also not a Trumper. I firmly believe that the best person for the job should have it. I do know that the current regime ain't making it. It's not cutting it. Not in my opinion. But I also don't know if Donald Trump's the answer. And at the risk of getting super political, I'll just say that I don't know. I don't know who the right person for the job is, because as I was saying just a few minutes ago, we know how horrible we can be to each other. I mean, just if you turn on a mainstream media source, if you open any web search browser, or just open the internet in general, you'll see exactly how horrible we can be to each other. Men and women can't safely ride the train to work, for example, in New York. They can't ride the train. They can't commute to work. And if they decide they want to drive, they have to pay extra money to drive into the city to work. In the city where they already can't afford to live, they got to pay extra money. And they can't certainly go down into the subway and wait on a train without worried about getting pushed in front of it and being killed, or being robbed for their bag lunch, or for the meager $20 in their pockets. Whatever the case may be. And with all this stuff going on, it really makes me wonder why. Why do we expect young men and women to leave home, to leave their families, to leave their friends, to leave a job maybe, an education, leave their home, the place they call home, to be part of something that's bigger than themselves, only to be away from home, get on their cellular telephonic device to see it crumble, without any explanation really as to why. And then that makes me think even harder about these two precious lives that are coming, that are here, one here and one coming into our family. And not only about the two precious lives, but the four other very important lives, the four individuals who are now charged with the responsibility of making sure that these two precious lives are raised properly, whatever proper looks like for them. They're the parents. And so in a time in our history when we as adults, grown adults, in our 40s and 50s, are somewhat blind or naive or ignorant to what's really happening, or choose not to face what reality is. Imagine being 25, 27, 24, whatever, in your 20s, trying to figure out life, trying to get started. And I don't care who you are and what you say. I don't know that anybody's ever really ready for parenthood. I think it's one of those things that you can prepare and you can prepare and you can plan and scheme and plan and prepare and scheme and plan and scheme and prepare. And then that little bundle of joy and tears and poop and pee, they come and join you, and everything that you planned and prepared and schemed goes right out the window. It all goes to shit. Because it all happens so fast. And for many people, they become so tired. And life just becomes this whirlwind. Because one thing that I do know, one thing that I can speak to, is that life doesn't stop. It doesn't slow down for you. The world doesn't stop. Either you keep up or the world passes you by. But again, these 4 individuals are now charged with the responsibility of care and nurturing, caring for and nurturing these 2 little people. And we, those of us who are the support staff, the grandparents, the aunts and uncles, friends, family, great-grandparents, whatever, we're here to lend a hand. We're here to help out. We're here to give advice. We're here to lend some of our time so that they can have a break. But ultimately, at the end of the day, these 4 people got to raise these kids. And who knows, maybe they'll have more. And I'm not trying to sit here and say that this is an impossible task. But when I was laying in bed, I was thinking to myself, man, I was sitting in my chair a few hours prior to that, and I had the news on for some dumbass reason. And thinking, this is just chaos. There's not one good thing to report. And when they do report something good, it's about a dog or some dumbass animal or so it's never anything good. It's never that anybody did something good for somebody else. But yet here we are and millions of other people trying to raise these kids to be people of integrity, honest, hardworking, contributing members of this society that we live in. God-fearing members of this society, if that's what they believe in. They choose to raise their kids that way. And then it got me thinking about, well, why the hell is anybody joining the military? We just talked last night on the Richard Leonard show about how soldiers are tired and that the DOD wants to shut down bases because soldiers are tired because we don't have the manpower to keep up with the demand and equipment is breaking and soldiers are tired and they're failing at some tasks and then they can't keep up and they're just it's just this vicious cycle. So why don't we close down bases abroad in different areas abroad and bring all those soldiers back to America and put them on other bases stateside where there's more people? That'll fix the problem. And yet we are in the middle of what seems to be the beginning stages of World War III, all-out war. And we're going to give up strategic strongholds in different areas of this planet, of this all around the globe. Or if you're a flat earther, all over the plate. Because soldiers are tired. The conversation never goes to, how do we get more soldiers? What are we doing? What are we doing that we're losing soldiers at such a high clip? Why are we not talking about that? Because I got news for you. These two little precious lives, they're going to grow to be adults. And of course, we all want to see that happen. And we all want to see that happen in a place, in an environment that is supportive, that is protective, that is safe, that is happy, where they can thrive, they can learn something, they can just be. I don't want these two little girls or any boys or anybody, any kids at all. I don't want any of them to have to worry about going to school and being talked to about changing their gender, or why is there kitty litter boxes in the bathroom, if that was even real, or CRT or anything. How about you teach them how to balance a checkbook, how to drive a car properly, and how to build a work ethic and contribute. Why don't we teach these kids how to work hard and play hard, and that hard work yields great rewards. Not only in your pocketbook, but in your chest. And now I have all the confidence in the world that these four people who are in charge of raising these two precious little lives are set up to be great parents. And they're going to do the best that they can. And they'll do great. I just really hope that there isn't outside influence that sways these kids or any kids off a positive path. But these are the things, when it gets to be 2, 3, 4 in the morning and you can't sleep, that come to mind. I've done quite a bit of things in my life. I've been a few places. And I've been a few places that you never would think. You would never think that people in these particular places could be as ugly to each other as they were. You would never think that they could look you in the face and 30 seconds later have a gun pointed to the back of your head. And not literally, but proverbially. The proverbial gun to the back of the dome. And maybe for some people, literally. Just no conscience at all. And I hate to say that this is all due to like government stuff. But the more you hear about what's happening, it all seems to be somehow linked back to the government. Not a government of some sort. Like just recently I read all these not all these but 2 or 3 articles about how these private prisons somehow worked out some deal with the music industry to create gangster rap to glamorize the thug life, the gang life, to get kids and other people into shooting each other and selling drugs and gangs and violence just to keep the prisons full. And it was like a private deal, and somehow the government snuck their fingers into that thing. And so the reason why it drives me crazy is because I can't imagine myself or anybody that I've decided to let close to me into my inner circle be that hell-bent on making money off of other people's misery and destroying their lives. I can't believe that people can be that cruel to each other. And it shouldn't be that hard to believe. We see it all over the place. It's everywhere. We've seen it firsthand. I've seen it firsthand many times. But sometimes I ask myself, like, when is enough enough? Like, don't these people ever get sick and tired of just being the asshole? Like, is there a point where you've made enough money? You have enough cars, you have enough big houses, you have enough drugs, you have enough women, you have enough whatever, that you can just kind of like lay back in the cut, do your thing, and just kind of leave everyone alone? Isn't there like a threshold where it's enough? And maybe the answer is no. I guess I don't know. I've never been a multi-million. I've never been a millionaire, but I've never been a multi-millionaire or a billionaire for that matter. So maybe I'm just, I don't know, maybe I'm just spitting words to spit words. I don't know. I guess we can label this one Richard's birthday thoughts. But what I will say is, this last weekend, being at my first grandchild's gender reveal party was pretty awesome. It was probably one of the greatest birthday gifts I've had in a long time. And there's plenty of kids left, so hopefully we have plenty more of these things to do. But it kind of just puts things into perspective. It really just makes you think about what's coming next, and it makes you wonder when the next hammer is going to fall and how you're going to navigate that thing, whatever that is, and how is it going to affect these little kids. Because at the end of the day, as we've stated, these 4 individuals are responsible for these 2 little precious lives. And they're going to do great. They're going to do a great job. My hope is that outside influences don't make it harder on them than it needs to be. And when and if it does, we'll be there. Your family will be there for you. Just hope that they always remember that. We're all a pretty close family, I would say, for the most part. So I don't know that we need to say that to them. And so if you're watching this, and you're not part of my family, have these discussions, especially if you have little ones in your family and you're the parents of little ones. Maybe there's nothing to do. Maybe there's nothing to do but ensure that you instill good values into your children, respect, integrity, those types of things. Because once they reach a certain age, I don't want to say your job of parenting is over, because I don't think it's ever over as long as they allow you to be part of their lives. But once they reach a certain age and they've got their personality and they've got their way of thinking, unless it falls into line with yours, not a whole lot of words are really going to sink in. I don't know. I don't know that I'm father of the century. Clearly. But I have my thoughts about how it works. I think I know where some of my mistakes have been made, although apparently I'll never get to hear them. But I think that for these 2 little precious lives and the ones that come after, and any others, for any of you that are important, just make sure those kids know love and make sure that they know the importance of where they came from. And listen to me talking like this is a new concept, right? It is 4 a.m, after all. But I guess I'll just leave you with that. But please think about it. Have these conversations. Because after all, you never know. You never know what tomorrow brings. You never know what the future holds. And with everything that's happening in the world today, and as polarized as this country is, you don't know what we'll be doing. We could be fighting on our own turf. We could be initiating a draft and sending our sons and daughters off to fight on somebody else's turf. We could be engaging our skeleton crew of a military here or abroad. Hey, you're going to find this funny. I did read an article recently that said that the Army and the Air Force are considering recalling retirees to continue service. And I think that I think you're going to get a lot of middle fingers. You try to do that. I think you're going to get a lot of guys in there with beards and long hair and that aren't going to really give a rat's ass what you think. There are a whole lot of veterans in this country that worked pretty goddamn hard in many different places around this world to be shit on by their own government. And anybody who's recently retired, there's a good chance that they were in Afghanistan. And out of all those guys, there's a decent chance that there's a few guys that were there for the drawdown, if that's what you want to call it. You try calling those dudes up and asking them to put a uniform back on. When you made them turn tail and run, and then lose brothers in the process. After Americans fought so hard for that place, for that piece of land, for that foothold, call them up. Do me a favor. Record the calls. Record the calls, put them out. Bet you get 100 million views. Anyway, you guys have a great Monday. We will for sure see you on Thursday. Don't miss it. We'll be back with you then. Have a great day.